Hi dear friends, welcome to the CSS Learners Academy. Today we are going to discuss the fourth subtopic of the first topic of Islamic Studies, which is the distinguished features of Islam. For the new viewers, I would like to say that we are discussing the topics of Islamic Studies here one by one, and the first topic, which is Introduction to Islam, I have already delivered 3 lectures of this topic, and the fourth subtopic is what we are going to discuss today. Well, there must be a question in your mind that why Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was entitled with Islam only. I mean, there are other religions in the world, and the Muslims do believe that Christianity and Judaism are the divine religions. Why not Christianity? Why not Judaism? These are the questions that I am going to address here today in this lecture. And if you have not subscribed to this channel until this moment, and if you have not clicked on the bell icon, I would request that you must do that. And let's proceed towards today's lecture. So the question that I have asked starting this lecture is that why there was a need to introduce Islam again, as it is our firm belief that Islam is the only deen, and all the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have always preached for the same religion, which is Islam. Now, there were several different shariats or several different fiqhs according to the people of that time, according to the society and the community of that time, but the deen which was revealed by Allah Almighty was always Islam, and all the prophets have preached the same religion. So here we will discuss the distinguished features of Islam. What are the distinguished features that made Islam, that makes Islam a different religion, or a religion which has been proved as a successful religions of all times. So I have divided this lecture in several headings, and I will go one by one because here I am going to discuss the core philosophy and ideology of Islam. So I would like to request you all to concentrate on what I am saying, and you can write down the headings on a separate sheet where you used to prepare your notes, so that you might be at the end of the lecture you would be aware to comprehend whatever I have said, and at the end of this lecture the result will be obvious to you that why Islam is the different religion, and how we can distinguish Islam from other religions, and how we can say that Islam is the only religion for mankind provided by Allah Almighty. Well, the first question is about knowledge. First of all, I will discuss about knowledge. Many philosophers have talked about knowledge, how to gather knowledge, how to acquire knowledge, what actually is knowledge, and how can we say that whatever we know is true or not. There are several debates about truth as well. There are several kinds, like the absolute truth, like the relative truth, and the ultimate truth, because many of the philosophers believe that truth is something which cannot be acquired. Absolute truth is something which cannot be acquired. For example, we say that Allah is one. There is only one God. We Muslims believe that the concept of singularity or monotheism is the base of our religion. So Allah is one, He is single. But do we have any kind of evidence to prove that? That is the point where the philosophers say that if you believe that Allah is one, it is your truth. And if we say that no, He is not one, then it is our truth. But Islam says that no, there is an ultimate truth, and you can find out that ultimate truth. Now, how can we know the truth, and how can we say that this is the actual truth? The Quran invites us toward the 4 elements. Number 1 is to know Allah. Number 2 is to know the word. 3rd is to know the man himself. And the 4th is to know the history. Now, if you believe Allah Almighty, the first thing that Holy Quran says is that He will provide you with knowledge and guidance, as we have studied in verse number Surah Baqarah, verse number 255. where Allah Almighty says that they cannot comprehend anything out of what He knows save what He wills. That anything that you know is provided by Allah Almighty. In another verse, we have the whole incident of the Prophet Adam. Adam is also an Arabic word meaning the human or the man. So some of the philosophers, Islamic philosophers, believe that here the Quran is not talking about a single person who was named Adam, but Quran is talking about the whole mankind. Quran is talking about the man, the ideas and thinkings and the workings of a man. Let's talk about this. I will not go into detail, but let's take a glimpse to that incident where they say that man was living in heaven. So that is theory which is applicable to every man. We are living a peaceful life until we reach the age of adultery. And then the Quran says that the Adam was distracted and he forgot what Allah has taught him. That is the story of every man. And then in the next verse we see that the Holy Quran says that some divine names were given to Adam to recite them, to learn them, and he did. What does this mean? This means that knowledge is divine, one source of knowledge is divine, and it can be provided to you by your Creator. Then the next thing which is related to this topic is that what are the sources of knowledge? If we say that okay, man is able to comprehend knowledge, now the next question which would be in your minds is that what are the sources? Quran has told the sources as well. The sources according to Quran are the natural science or the science existing in the world, in the man himself, and in the history and the social events. So first of all, you may notice the natural science, and now we see that all the theories of physics or chemistry or biology or even science, most commonly we can say, all of these phenomena that today we know as theories were at one point the science observed by someone. And when the scientists observed those signs, they started their working, they started their research, and finally they formulated a theory that if this thing is happening, that might be the reason for that. So the science, the natural science are the first thing. The second thing is about the word. When you know about the word, when you know about yourself, and when you research the history of mankind, how the incidents have happened, how we have reached where we are right now, then from all these sources you can acquire knowledge. And this is precisely the thing that Quran has invited you to research. As Quran says in Surah Yunus, verse number 101, behold what is in the heavens and the earth. Whatever the God has created in the heavens or in the earth, it is for you to research. Similarly, as I was talking about history, the Quran has invited you to research in history in Surah Hajj, verse number 46, where Allah Almighty says, have they not traveled in the land so that they may have hearts to understand and ears to hear? So here we have seen that the two sources are provided in Quran. And the third thing is rationality. Quran has never said anywhere that whatever you see you must believe. Quran says that you must have a research based mind. You must research on the things, why certain kind of thing is happening. Here we see in the Surah Anbiya, verse number 22, say, had there been gods beside Allah, then surely both the heavens and the earth would have been thrown into confusion. Now that is the invitation to logic. The Quran is saying that you must comprehend. The Quran is saying that you must observe the phenomena and then you need to decide according to the logic. So that is the logical decision. I will talk about monotheism, but here Allah Almighty is saying about monotheism with logic. He says that if there would be some other God, there would be confusions all around. In another verse of Surah Mu'minun, verse number 91, Allah Almighty says, Allah has not chosen any son, nor their any god along with him. Otherwise, each god would have surely championed which he has created, and some of them would surely have overcome others. Glorified be Allah above all that they allege. That is a logical point which is provided in the Holy Quran to give you the glimpse of logic, to give you a point that anything that you hear, you must first try to research with an open mind, try to find out the truth, and then ultimately you will be guided by the divine. Then so first we have discussed about knowledge, then we have talked about how to acquire knowledge, and now I will talk about the means to acquire the knowledge as described by Holy Quran. The means to acquire knowledge is, number one is your senses, the 5 senses that you have. Number second is the faculty of thinking. Number third is argumentation, and number 4 is purification of your soul. So these are the 4 different elements of how you can acquire knowledge. Number one is your senses, the thing that you see or you hear, or these senses. Through these senses, if you acquire some kind of knowledge, it will be guaranteed as a knowledge. Number second thing is faculty of thinking. Now that is a common procedure, that is an inbuilt quality, that whenever you see something, you will start to exploring, you will start your research work, you will start thinking about the existence, about the size, about the color, and all different aspects. And the most important thing is the purification of your soul. Here I would like to quote a famous verse of Allama Iqbal, where he says that rahe na ruh mein pakizgi to hai na paid, rahe na ruh mein pakizgi to hai na paid, zamir nek khayale buland zauq latif. So the reference of what I am talking about is also provided in Holy Quran in Surah Nisa verse number 78, where Allah Almighty says, and Allah brought you forth from the wombs of your mothers knowing nothing, and gave you hearing, sight and hearts, so that you might give thanks. Here in a little detail I will talk about a philosophy, and then we will move further, because that is a very interesting topic and I can go into several different dimensions, but I am trying to keep myself focused on the topic so that you might not get bored. Now there is a theory of Plato. Plato was the a pupil of Socrates and teacher of Aristotle. So Plato says that when the man was born, he was aware of everything. The knowledge was already instilled in the soul of the man. So what we acquire in the world is just recollecting of that knowledge. And this is the same theory also provided in Holy Quran, where Allah Ta'ala has used the word of tazakkur. Tazakkur means recollecting something. So Allah Almighty says that you are recollecting what was provided to you. But Quran does not say that all of the knowledge was provided to man before birth, because Quran believes in evolution and the acquisition of knowledge. About the purity of soul, we have in Surah Anfal verse number 29, where Allah says that believers, if you fear Allah, He will give you power to distinguish between what is good and what is bad. You will see many people around you that are confused, who are confused between good or bad. They cannot decide between the good or bad. Why? Because they do not fear Allah. So that is the first thing. As I have mentioned earlier in the start of the lecture, that the first important thing is your belief in Allah Almighty, and then the divine knowledge will be provided to you. So that is the quality of a divine knowledge, that you can distinguish between right or wrong. In another verse of Surah Shams, verse number 7 to 9, it is stated that by the soul and Him who perfected it and inspired it with the consciousness of what is wrong for it and what is right for it, He is indeed successful who purified it, and He is indeed a failure who corrupted it. So that is that knowledge, the divine knowledge, is depending upon the purity of your soul. If the soul is pure, then you can acquire the knowledge, the depths that other cannot. And if your soul is corrupted, then you cannot acquire the divine knowledge. And now we will talk about the second heading, which is the ideological aspect. The first heading was knowledge, and the second one is the ideological aspect. Well, the ideology of Islam makes it different or distinguished from the other religions, and here we are going to study how. Number one is the comprehensiveness. As compared to other religions, comprehensiveness is one of the distinguished features of Islam. So it is the characteristic, the principal characteristic of Islam which makes it the most developed and the perfect religion. There are 4 different sources which the Muslim scholars can use to find out the Islamic principles about anything. Muslim scholars do not believe that there can be any situation about which Islam will not provide an answer. The second important heading is ijtihad. Ijtihad is another topic where I will talk about ijtihad specifically, but here the second principle, important principle that distinguishes this religion from other religions is ijtihad. So there is a school of thought of scholars, because the basic rules of Islam are maintained in a way that they can be amended according to a specific situation within a certain limitations, and that is the school of ijtihad. The third thing is liberty and simplicity. Islam is the most simple and most liberal of all the religions. Islam does not put responsibilities upon you that you cannot hold. As Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has stated in a hadith, Allah Almighty had not given him any instruction to escape from the world. He was living in this world a simple life, a life of a common man, and with that he has achieved what is evident to the world. It means that it is the most simple and the liberal religion. In Surah Baqarah, Allah Almighty says, La ikraha fid deen. There is no forced compulsion in Islam. The fourth important thing is the useful and healthy life. Islam talks about the health of a man, and therefore many things that can be harmful for your health are restricted. The second important thing is usefulness of your life. Islam will never say that you must go to some far-flung areas or engage yourself in the rituals. Islam says that you must live in this world and you must be a useful man to the society. The fifth thing is socialization. Islam does not advocate for isolation. It says that you must live in a society, and all the features of Islam, like we have 5-time prayers, to be in a mosque where all the people should meet and contact and discuss several things. Then we have a separate obligation known as the Hajj, where all the Muslims of the world can get together at one place, which is known as Khana-e-Kaaba. So all of these things point towards the socialization that Islam motivates. Rights and freedom. The sixth heading is the rights and freedoms of an individual. Although Islam says that socialization must be there, encourages socialization, but there are some obligations, rights and obligations that are compulsory to maintain that society which Islam advocates to be created. And all different dimensions have been explained here in this context. From the political point of view, everyone has the right to participate in elections, participate in politics, and get elected. From the legal point of view, it is your choice. If you select that field of study and you comes into the merit, then you are able to do that. Same is the case with your family matters. It is the right to choose your life partner. But there is another important factor which I am going to discuss here in the seventh heading, which is the precedence of the right of society to the right of individual. Because Islam talks about socialism, Islam talks about a society as a whole. Therefore, when there is a contradiction between something related to society and something related to an individual, Islam says that society must be the first thing, and the individual characteristics or individual things can be sacrificed. So here we can say that whenever there is a contradiction, the public right gets more importance as compared to the individual rights. 8th number heading is the principle of consultation. There are many verses of the Holy Quran as well as the teachings given by the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that consultation is required whenever you are going to decide anything related to yourself or related to the society. The 9th number is elimination of laws. The rules and obligations of Islam, no matter how important they are, but if these rules are resulting in some kind of a loss to the society, then they should be eliminated. The 10th heading is the importance of usefulness. Islam talks about the usefulness. So there can be every act, whether it is a collective act or an individual act. If it is not useful for the society, it is just like something being done in vain. As the Quran says in Surah Mu'minun, verse number 3, that successful indeed are those who shun all that is vain. So point number 11 is the importance of lawful transactions, circulation of wealth and transfer of money and property. Here the Holy Quran says in Surah Baqarah, verse number 188, which, and do not usurp one another's property by unjust means. It means that about the dealing of day-to-day matters and the financial transactions, Islam has provided the guidelines. Now, next point, point number 12 is very important. However, I am going to define this point with a little detail in the chapter of zakat, but here you need to understand the base. Here Islam says that any profit on the capital lying idle, not in the circulation for beneficial purposes, is unlawful. It means that if you have invested somewhere and where you have invested, the money is not used or involved in circulation for the benefit of other people, for the benefit of the society, then the profit that you are earning on that amount is not halal. Now the point to be noted here is that the amount that you have saved in banks and you are earning profit on that amount, it is not haram, because the bank is investing that amount in the business, the money is in circulation and it might be used for the beneficial purposes. But if you have invested somewhere where the money is not used in circulation, or it might be used for negative purposes or being used in the informal economy or smuggling or criminal activities, but you are earning your profit, then this profit is not halal. Point number 13 is that the financial transactions should be carried out with prior knowledge of the both parties. It is not allowed that if you are going to involve in some kind of transaction and one of the both parties is not taken into account or is not taken into confidence before making any kind of transaction. As there is a hadith which very clearly says that the fraudulent transaction is prohibited in Islam. It means that if you have a product that you are going to sell and the product is defective, it is your responsibility to tell the other party that this product is defective. Proper information of the transaction is a must thing according to the teachings of Islam. Point number 14 is the contrariety to reason. As I was talking earlier, that Islam is based on logic and rationality. So anything which is not acceptable by logic or anything which is not concludable by rationality, you are not forced to believe that. Islam says that it is your logic, it is your thinking, it is your intelligence that may tell you whether you need to believe something or not. Islam also describes this reasoning as an inward profit. Point number 15 is the contrariety to will. As I was talking in the previous heading, that Islam respects the logic and reasoning. Therefore, Islam also respects and protects the willpower. It is the reason that many things which might become a hurdle in the way of exercising your willpower are prohibited in Islam. Another important point which I am going to mention here in heading number 16 is work and the importance of work according to Islam. Islam says that if you are idle and you're not doing something, Islam motivates you to get into something and do something productive and useful. As there are several obligations of the society towards an individual, so Islam reciprocate these responsibilities from an individual towards the society. So we can say that Islam curses the man who is a parasite or a burden on society. Accursed is he who throws his burden on other people. Point number 17 is the sanctity of occupation and profession. To have an occupation besides being a duty, it is described as a sacred cause and it is loved by Allah, as Allah likes a believer having a profession. So that is important, that you are not idle. So you see here how Islam is talking about all the features of life, how Islam is talking about how and what is the reason that we say that Islam is not only a religion, it is a complete code of life. So it is very easy to understand now, as I am explaining these things in the proper context, proper Islamic context, that this is not a religion which is related to the mosque only, which is related to the individual life only. It is a complete code of life which not only talks about the individual, but it talks about the society as well, and even it gives more importance to the society as compared to an individual. As there is a famous hadith by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that a man who works hard for the sake of his family is like a person who fights for the cause of Allah. So that is the importance given to a man who is involved in some occupation or profession and earning for his family and his livelihood. Point number 18 is the prohibition of exploitation. Islam, the rules of Islam are very clear about that. Slavery in any form is prohibited in Islam, whether it is in the physical form, in the form of labor, whether it is the mental slavery, anything like that which can be related to any form of slavery is prohibited in Islam. Point number 19 is extravagance and wastage. It is true that Islam allows you to earn as much money as you can, because there is no prohibition in earning the money, but about your expenditure, how you are going to spend this money and where this money is going to go. So if you are if you are spending the money on the luxurious lifestyles, or if you are spending the money or something where it is going to be wasted, it is prohibited in Islam. Point number 20 is the comforts in life. To provide the family, your wife and children with a better life, it is not only allowed in Islam, but it is encouraged. Point number 21 is bribery. Islam is strictly against bribery. The giver and the taker of illegal gratification have been severely censured by Islam and described as deserving the hellfire. Any money received as a bribe is unlawful. Any money paid as a bribe is unlawful. Point number 22 is hoarding. Islam is strictly against the hoarding, especially of the food stuff. Mostly the business community who are dealing in the food stuff, they have a habit of storing these things, hoarding these things for the time being, and then to sell them to the market when the prices go up. This typical behavior is strictly prohibited in Islam. Islam says that as and when you have a certain amount of food stuff, it should go to the market at a certain price and it should be sold likewise. And point number 23 is the sanctity of defending rights. It is sacred duty to safeguard the individual as well as the social rights and to fight against any transgressor. It is mentioned in Surah Nisa verse 148. Allah does not like abusing others unless a man has been wronged. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, the best jihad is to say the just word before a despotic ruler. Imam Ali has quoted as saying that no nation can occupy a commendable position unless it is able to secure the rights of the weak against the strong without any fear. Point number 25 is the continuous struggle against corruption and improving the existing conditions. Now here it is a responsibility of people as a community, as a nation, and especially to the governments, that governments should allow different kinds of reforms. Government should try to have different kinds of reforms so that they can result in a continuous struggle to safeguard the society from any kind of corruption. As mentioned in Surah Al Imran verse number 110, that you are the best nation that has been raised for mankind, for you exhort to what is good and restrain from evil. So here the important thing is that the government on behalf of the people should should be involved in a continuous struggle to exclude any kind of corrupt activities. The second last point that I am going to talk here is monotheism. It might be the most important point of today's discussion. Islam is the distinguished religion which believes in the singularity of Allah Almighty in all its kinds and all the forms. Islam does not believe in anything other than monotheism, whether it is duality or trinity, or whether it is polytheism. So Islam strictly talks about Allah Almighty as the singular being who created this universe and who is supreme. According to Islam, everything starts with Allah Almighty and everything ends on Allah Almighty as well. A very famous example here is that whenever you are going to start anything, you are going to start a discussion, you are going to start a work, you will say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, that I am going to start this with the name of Allah, who is most beneficent and who is the most merciful. And the last point is equality. Islam talks about equality, that all men and women are equal before Allah Almighty. They have not been created in two or more than two strata. Blood, race, nationality, they are not the criterion for superiority. So here I have described the important points which distinguish Islam from the other religions, and which once again prove the priority of Islam and the status of Islam as the only deen in the world. In the first lecture, I have talked about what is the concept of deen, and in the next lecture, I have described how deen is different from religion. And here in this lecture, I have specified all the points which makes Islam as the only deen. As the Holy Quran says that according to Allah Almighty, the only deen for the mankind is Islam. So here we have defined several points, because I have to just keep this lecture in accordance with the syllabus of CSS. But later on, inshallah, I will provide comprehensive lectures on different topics which are other than CSS, and they might be helpful for you with the concept of general knowledge. So this was our lecture for today. I hope you must have enjoyed the video and you must have noted the important points. I am available at all the given accounts that I have provided here for any time. If you need any kind of assistance, if you need to ask any type of questions, I would be happy to help. So in the next lecture, we would be talking about the Islamic beliefs and impacts on individual and society, and the fundamentals of Islam. Stay tuned, stay blessed. Allah Hafiz.